All right. So, War for the Planet of the Apes. 2017 so far, for me anyways, because let's be honest, I don't see every single movie that comes out. I mainly just see the super geeky ones. Uh, has been off the charts. Just like, damn. Like, from all the superhero movies have been good. All of them. Like, literally, the only movies that have let me down at all this year were Life and Alien Covenant. Those are the only movies that have really let me down. War for the Planet of the Apes does not let me down. Let me just briefly go over the fact that I have loved these Planet of the Apes prequels. Rise of the Planet of the Apes was fantastic. It had a genuine sense of discovery as as Caesar discovered his own intelligence. Fantastic film. And the fight scene on the bridge, super satisfying. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, great performances from all the actors, including Gary Oldman. Awesome final battle between the humans and the apes at the end. And then but now here we are at War for the Planet of the Apes. And War is an appropriate title because this is a war movie. It is a movie about war and war conflict. It's a movie about conflicts, about violent conflicts. And it's a hell of a conclusion to a trilogy. I kind of would like to see where they go with rebooting the whole series, and because the next logical step after this would be to make the story about the humans returning to Earth. Earth. And I honestly, if they can make it half as good, it'll be worth watching. So let's talk about War for the Planet of the Apes. First of all, it's heavy as hell. It's not quite low. I'm actually not sure which one is heavier, this one or Logan. They're heavy in different ways. This movie is sort of philosophically heavy, while Logan is very sort of emotionally heavy, because of this. Well, I won't spoil Logan for anyone who hasn't seen it. Incidentally, if you've not seen Logan yet, why the hell haven't you seen Logan yet? Go see Logan. It's on Blu-ray and DVD. Incidentally, Logan Noir is gorgeous. It looks so good in black and white. God damn, it's good. But anyways, back to War for the Planet of the Apes. It's awesome. It's absolutely fantastic. So, of course, movie, not to go too much in the storyline, because I don't really like to do that unless there are problems with the storyline itself. But the movie sets us up with essentially the conflict between humans and apes. There's Caesar, and then there's the Colonel, played by Woody Harrelson. And essentially, Woody Harrelson's character is convinced that the only way to save humanity is to wipe out the apes. Meanwhile, the apes, Caesar, is just trying to live peacefully, just trying to have his people in their stronghold and live in their way. And the movie opens with the humans literally stumbling upon one of their bases, which opens up a very harrowing, like almost trench combat deal where the apes have the high ground and the humans are trying to rush up the hill at them. It's really good. The movie is violent. It's about as violent as you can get in a PG-13 rating. It's never terribly graphic, but you get the idea that there is a lot of death. Like a lot of death. And the general idea is that neither side is really evil. It's just they're operating on different philosophies on how to survive. Early on in the movie, of course, Woody Harrelson comes and he attacks the apes. And of course, this sort of messes everything up for Caesar, and he's like, I'm gonna get revenge. I'm gonna get revenge on the Colonel. And that's one of the core ideas that the movie goes over is revenge versus forgiveness. What does it mean to get revenge? Does revenge actually help anything? What is revenge and emotions placed in a military conflict? Because a large portion of the film is about military conflict. And there's not a whole lot to really go into that's not spoilery. And I will be having spoilers here in a second. Honestly, I do think the movie works better if you have seen the first two Planet of the Apes movies. I mean, I saw the first two Planet of the Apes movies, so I can't sit here and say that conclusively. But I personally think the movie works better if you have. So definitely go see. So if you haven't seen the first two, definitely watch those first, and then go see the movie, just because it'll build up the emotional character development for Caesar and the apes. Um, at the beginning of this movie, Caesar is in a very like just this place where he's trying to make peace with himself and his past mistakes and decisions. And Andy Serkis, Andy Serkis may deserve the first Oscar for a motion capture portrayal in film. In fact, they may even make that a category. Maybe they won't. You would need multiple people to. You really need a whole bunch of different quality performances of motion capture actors to really qualify for there to be a separate category. And to be frank, if there was a category, almost all those actors would be in this movie. um, but I absolutely do have to recommend it. Andy Serkis as Caesar, fantastic. Woody Harrelson as the Colonel, fantastic. Steve Zahn as the comic relief, fantastic. Although I will say, the way the comic relief character that Steve Zahn plays comes into the movie feels a little bit engineered. Like, it almost felt like at some point in production, someone was like, damn, this is heavy as hell. We need a comic relief character in there. Where are we going to get a comic relief character at this point in the story? What if there's just another ape? What do you mean just another ape? But he's an ape who wears clothes and he kind of has a funny attitude. Sure, why not? Just throw him in there. That being said, it works. And Steve Zahn is pretty funny in the movie. So yeah. All the performances are great, including the other apes besides Steve Zahn and Andy Serkis. So now I'm going to talk spoilers. Before I talk spoilers, War for the Planet of the Apes is a 9. Actually, hell with that. I'm going to give it a 9.5. The only reason, mainly the reason it's not a 10, because it's not always, like, fun. It's a very heavy movie. And I know not everyone is down for the heavy movie. But War for the Planet of the Apes is a heavy movie worth watching. Definitely go see it. 9.5 out of 10. Fantastic movie. And for those who have missed it, yes, I've gone to numbers from letters. I'll probably keep announcing that for like a while. Not that... Anyways. So spoilers. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. There's a lot of cool shit in this movie. Early on in the movie, Caesar spares the lives of some human soldiers, and sends them back. This is important for his character. He's benevolent. He wants peace. He does not crave violence or vengeance at this point in the movie. He wants to offer the humans peace. He wants them to offer to them coexistence, because that's something that Caesar's always believed in, knowing that humans and apes can love each other, as displayed in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That being so, but one of the interesting things about the movie is that one of the people whose lives he spares is actually the person who kills him ultimately at the end. Incidentally, this is spoilers, but he does die at the end. It's like not before it's not like a sudden death or anything. He dies slowly of a wound inflicted on him by this guy who has a crossbow. I gave it a 9.5, but there were a few things that, like, if you think about them too hard, you're like, wait a minute. Like, a huge portion of the film takes place in the prison camp where they're holding the apes. And I just gotta be like, these humans are the worst guards ever. Like, they are just absolutely terrible guards. They are clearly not paying attention to the ape prisoners. They deserve to have all the apes escape. They are terrible guards. They miss a little girl just walking into the camp. Oh, one of the other aspects of the story is a little girl who has the ape flu, the simian flu, and whatnot. And actually, that's an interesting thing. Is the movie uses it because like one of the things that surprised me about the movie doesn't end the way I expected it to from the trailers. I expected like an all-out final conflict between the humans and the apes. That's not actually what happens. What happens is actually much more subtle and very intelligent, although I did see it coming the second it started happening. Essentially, the Colonel is all about wiping out the simian flu, which he feels he needs to kill the monkeys for. Don't entirely understand that because I don't know how much how the simian flu is spread is not entirely clear. It actually genuinely only looks like it can be passed from humans that have it to other humans, because they have slave apes and gorillas who they keep with them that they refer to as donkeys. Fun fact, and they refer to the enemy apes as Kongs. So that's kind of funny. Sort of reference to Donkey Kong on two different levels there. Also kind of sounds like Vietnam, which the movie does have a heavy Vietnam vibe at points. It's definitely a war movie. But anyways, at one point this girl basically brings a doll in. She sneaks into the camp and leaves a doll with Caesar. Of course, the Colonel touches it, and the Colonel gets the simian flu. I feel bad for revealing these spoilers, but if you're still watching spoilers after I warned you about spoilers, these are pretty big spoilers. You have no one to blame but yourself at this point. You should have turned it off. And this is actually a really like more cerebral approach to what goes down between him and Caesar. One of the other big things is that the film doesn't spell out the simian flu for us. It allows us to build upon it slowly, clue after clue, until eventually we get to a point where Woody Harrelson's character can explain to Caesar about the simian flu. And Caesar is smart enough to understand that the reason that the Colonel is fortifying his base is not against apes. It's based on the fact that the other humans want to kill him. The rest of the army thinks that he's gone rogue and is coming to wipe him out. And that's why they're having the apes be slave labor to build basically their wall to protect themselves from the rest of the army. One of the other bad characters or villain characters, or like sort of gray in between characters, is a gorilla who used to follow Koba. And it's a little bit, and there's a point in the movie where he basically switches sides from the humans to the apes. And it's a super cliched moment, but it's done so well, it earns it. Because just because something's cliche doesn't mean it's bad. I'm just going to say that. But there's a moment where he turns and he saves Caesar, and it's great. It's just really great. Like I was saying, the Steve Zahn character does feel a little bit added on. He does not actually add anything to the story. He is pretty much strictly there for comic relief. In fairness, for most audiences, for a large portion of mainstream audiences, they're probably going to need his character. They're going to need someone there to help lighten the mood and make it funny for them. I'm not the kind of person who really needs that. I dig dark humor, and I'm very comfortable with things not being funny. I'm very comfortable with movies about characters who aren't even immediately likable at all. But Steve Zahn definitely will help the mainstream audiences sort of relax into what is a very heavy film. I think those are all the major things I wanted to comment on about the film. I really do recommend it. If you haven't seen the other two, I do recommend seeing the other two before you go see it if you haven't seen them already. If you haven't seen them already, shame on you, though, because they're great movies, and this is a great end to this sort of prequel reboot trilogy. It really is fantastic what they've done with it. And the performances are impressive and grand. Really, it's a fantastic movie. You really do need to go see it. All right, so once again, I give it a 9.5. Please do like the video, comment, subscribe, watch my sketches or other videos that I have available, my reviews or the things where I'm talking about comic books. Watch all of it. Other than that, yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you watched it, well, if you didn't watch, you didn't hear me say that, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, go see Planet of the Apes 9.5.